We producers like to tweak things that no one will ever notice. On the other hand though, if you're just gonna toss a bunch of dry sounds together, even a BandLab user who makes beats on the toilet will call you an amateur. Now, if you're worried about blowing up your sessions with stacks of Serum layers, oh my God! Or using expensive effects plugins that can act like DAWs by themselves, then stop right there. I'm gonna show you my favorite tricks with stock Ableton plugins, and I guarantee there is at least one you had no idea about. So my project sounds a little something like this. You may heard about reverb throws, a classic way to fill out blank spaces and add tension. But what about distortion throws? You can get some crazy results with feedback tab from Roar device. As the name suggests, it feeds the signal back through Roar. So if I'm gonna increase the amount and the time a little, I don't think I want to distort this bass more, so let's just use a dry and wet knob for the whole plugin and do some automations at the endings. Let me just copy it, maybe? Maybe just add one more throw here. Okay, but the other cool thing about feedback is that you can actually sync it to time, as you can see here, but also for some synced values. Alright, so now we have 1/16. Let me just try to make maybe 1/8 here or something like that. Actually, we can try the opposite. Let's just do 1/8 here. Okay, this one is cool, but let me show you something a little bit cooler. Instead of syncing to time, you can actually sync it to individual notes. Let me just try this thing out on this bass sound. Let's just sync it to G. So nothing really happens, but once I increase the amount... So if I'm gonna increase the amount or change the shaper, it's gonna change the sound as well. Hear how cool it feels the bass without the need of adding reverb? And let's be honest, who would be that dumb to put reverb on bass? Well, me actually. In one of my previous videos, I glorified stock hybrid reverb over Valhalla. I also got roasted by some of you, and well, as for the space tool, Valhalla is pretty fine. But as we speak about sound design, hybrid reverb is still the GOAT. I'm gonna use the hybrid reverb on this bass sound. Alright, and for the impulse response, let me just try to use a snare sound. Pro tip here is to audition the impulse response sounds you want to use while playing the whole track. So as I showed you before, it is as easy as just dragging the snare sound into the hybrid reverb, and it basically generates a new convolution part. Yeah, we're gonna need to switch fully to the convolution part. And obviously adjust the tone with the EQ. Maybe just try shorter decay. Yeah, one more thing to try is to use a vintage slider here. And yeah, with a good old manner, let's just try making some reverb throws. Yeah, mom, that's how the life of music producer or sound designer looks and sounds. So as you can see, I have this automation set from 0 to 100% real quick. And if I want to make it a little bit drier, all I need to do is to press the sand knob and then decrease the amount of dB. By the way, if you want more details on stock Ableton plugins, I have a link for the video I've made right below the like button, which, believe me or not, looks better for both of us when it's clicked. Okay, but enough of the sauce for the bass lines. Let's just focus on drums a little. I learned a simple trick a while ago from a mastering engineer named Sladin. He used some third-party stuff, but we're gonna replicate it with stock Ableton plugins. So that's how drums sounds with only drum boss and a clipper on. For me, it's a little bit too dry, so the trick here is to once again use hybrid reverb. Then we're gonna obviously search for some shorter reverbs made for drums presets. Sounds like a good plan here. Obviously, we still need to filter because we don't want to put reverb on our kick. Alright, so reverb set. Now you need to group the whole reverb part, make this reverb fully wet and create another chain, which is gonna be our dry one. Now decrease the volume of the reverb. You want to parallel compress both channels, so don't just grab your glue compression somewhere around here, grab it after your whole chain. So for the parallel compression, obviously go for a really high ratio. Let's start with fast attack and release, then slam the signal. Okay, I want them a little bit punchier, so... But the crucial part here is to apply a filter and use a bandpass one. So if you're gonna use a bandpass filter, it will basically tell the compressor to react more to the specific part, and in our case, we are looking to make it react to kick and snare mainly. Alright then, and once again play with dry and wet knob. So here is a quick before and after. It does wonders in the context. Just listen. Hope you're still there, because I got way more nerdier than I planned and totally forgot about one specific thing I added to this whole track to fill out the background a little, and it's actually this layer. So idea behind this layer comes from me just recording a section from the intro
a little closer, coming, don't be shy. I wanna take
with the vocals. So then I dragged this part and put it into Granular 3 and used it with no particular plan or something. Then used the new freeze and flatten option and pitched it an octave up. For this last layer, I used a simple echo, as you can see, and a poor man's version of Shaper Box. I know that at the beginning of this video I said that you shouldn't add more layers, but I can't hold myself from adding this vocal chop I did. And you know what, usually I like to come up with vocal chops by myself, but for this time I used generative tools from Live 12. To be honest with you, I thought they are useless, but once I tried the seed feature on our vocal chop, it kinda does wonders and gives you some ideas for vocal chops. Now if you appreciate the honest opinion and want to know more about MIDI tools in Live 12, then watch this video next.